Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cam's rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Hank's Think Tank. I think we got a good show for you here today. I've got Paul Batchelder in, and he is running for EMCID board position number 5. His opponents are Crystal Moore and David Miller, and this was an open position that was vacated by Richard Tram. Welcome aboard, Mr. Batchelder. How are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
No problem. You're the first in a series of candidates that we're going to have for the EMCID race. We have 9 candidates total. So there's a lot of guys in this time, and I'm kind of excited about it. I think it's going to be good. You know, and also we're going to be doing a forum that's going to be open to the public, and that's going to be April the 19th at the EMC Senior Center, and that's at Bull Salis Park. So guys, if you want to show up to that, the doors open at 6, and we're going to have all sorts of goodies like water and tea. That's about it. I don't know if we'll have anything else, but we'll try. Okay, Mr. Batchelder, what made you decide to run for EMCID?
Great question to start off with. I decided to run for EMCID. Somebody presented me with an opportunity, and I'm always looking to grow as a leader, and I think part of doing that is looking for new opportunities. And I've had great opportunities outside of East Montgomery County, but this is one that kind of brings it back home. So I'm looking forward to trying to contribute back to home base a little bit more. So I think ultimately that's what led me to go ahead and decide to run.
Cool. Yeah, it's a good decision. EMCID's got a pretty good footprint. It covers Porter, New Caney, Splendora, and a little bit on the outskirts of all that.
Absolutely.
And so, they do a lot, and it's a good organization to be involved with, and I think you'd probably make a good asset to it. So what do you do for a living?
I work for New Caney ISD as the Director of Life Safety and Emergency Preparedness. It's just a long way of saying the safety guy and emergency preparedness guy. I work closely with our internal police department and all the campus administrators as well as our superintendent's office to try to make sure we're as prepared for emergencies as you can be, and that we're doing things to train folks and raise their confidence level in being able to respond to things like that.
Okay.
I also work with different agencies like our local fire departments and our county office of emergency management, and just kind of working within the community as well. So my position's a little unique because there's so much community partners that I kind of converse with as well as a part of a function of my job. It's not just like self-contained in the district.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you'd be the guy that would head up like the active shooter response program and stuff like that?
Yes, sir. I have
Wow.
a heavy hand in trying to figure out what do we need to do as far as a response, but in emergency management there are several different stages. That's just one phase, but what are we doing on the preparedness standpoint, and what are we doing to recover from things like that? And all of them require attention, and so trying to figure out how to spend the appropriate amount of time in each phase is part of my job.
Oh, that's cool. And so you get to work a lot with old Troy Wooten?
Yes, sir. I've gotten to work with Chief Wooten for several years now. Captain Potter here, and I work closely together.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to know quite a few of the officers, and it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, Troy Wooten's a good man. Hey, Troy, what's going on? Hope you get to see this one. So, yeah, it sounds like an interesting job. So how'd you get involved in that? I mean,
well,
that's not something you just fall into.
No, it's not. When I started with a school district back in 2008, I was just a science teacher, and I'm actually on my 5th position, just kind of working my way up, doing different things. And I've just really been blessed to kind of have several opportunities. And about 6 years ago now, I think, I was, presented an opportunity to become a director, and part of the responsibilities that I gained with that was the safety aspect. Now I was doing some other things like utility management or the energy management program, as well as facility rental type stuff. And so I had 3 build hat kind of to wear for what I was doing with the district. But as I dove into the safety stuff, I kind of had a little knack for it, especially the emergency management side of it. And just started, going to training and practicing and talking to other people that have done it long before I have. And and have developed quite a bit as a result of mentors at the time, mentors that I currently have, and then, focusing on the training and then trying to teach and give back for the stuff that I understand now. And so the culmination of all of that's really led me to have, a pretty good understanding of emergency management in general and try to figure out how to implement in school districts. So it's a real niche kind of thing that's developed. And a couple of years ago, I was given the opportunity to take a position where basically the safety and emergency preparedness is my sole focus. And so I, don't have to worry about the emergency or the energy management or the, facility rental aspects of it. And I can focus strictly on that. It's been wonderful. I love going to work.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be a cool job.
I get to get up every day and figure out what we can do today. What can I say to other people that are going to allow us to make for a safer environment for our kids? I don't know that you can get a better reason to get up and go to work than that.
Yeah, for sure. It makes me wonder. I wonder if pre 9/11, if this kind of job even existed, or if that thought was even there.
I think it existed, but maybe not as prevalent in school districts as what you're starting to see. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to meet counterparts and things like that for other school districts and really in the Houston area. It has to be kind of a wide net because it's not something you see in every school district. But it is becoming more prevalent. I think with the things that you're seeing that are happening in schools and just general expectation is, hey, we need to be more prepared and we need to do things to ensure safety as much as we can. And so what do those things look like? And you bring up 9/11, there are people that managed that incident and figured a way out of it, as bad as it was. And we all saw it on TV. Like somebody had to organize that chaos and start getting their arms around it. So what was that team? What was the process? How do you even start something like that? And that's part of what the training is all about, and part of what emergency management is all about, is looking at something like that and saying, okay, it's bad, but this is where we start. And you just keep working on it until you get back to, some level of restoration.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, at least it's a thought-provoking job, and it's not just the same boring stuff you got to do. Repetitive work, I don't think I could do something that's repetitive.
No, I really enjoyed being a teacher, and I enjoyed, my energy management position and everything that I've done with the district. It's just kind of like one opportunity leading to the next. And so with this one, though, this one just seems to hit home for me a little bit more. It's just, it's like a resonance, something that you just kind of feel deep down inside. And so I'm fortunate because it's not something that I even picked or would have, thought about as a kid of going into as a field of study or anything like that. It just kind of, happened. And so now I'm in this spot where I get to do something that I really love to do. I get to do it for a place that I love to work at, and I get to help other people who are going to help us on, if we're ever dealt a bad day.
Yeah. And I guess your information pool has really grown as well, too.
Absolutely.
Because you have other incidents at other school districts, and you can find out how they handled it and, learn from that. Well, so it just keeps getting better and better.
And that was
and then there's FEMA and stuff like that. So, yeah, I bet your information pool is just incredible.
Well, and that was a big trigger for me because, yes, you're right. I mean, there's all kinds of information out there, and even that can be chaotic at times. It still needs the same level of organization as the response to a big incident. So you've got to look at all that, take in the complexity, and then figure out how to translate that into, an education market where that's not what they're there to do. They're there to educate kids, and it's not in the forefront of everything that a teacher's thinking of. They're planning lessons. They're trying to make sure that the kids are picking up all the rest of that stuff. So I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity to help them with that aspect of it and focus on that. And then just looking at what's happened in schools just in general and having an opportunity to say, okay, how can we be an asset to ourselves, but also an asset to our neighbors? If something happens and I was able to get trained enough and talk to enough people that somebody said, hey, we need your help. Now I'm in a position where I can help. I can go in and be an asset to somebody else. And I think that's part of what we should all be doing.
Yeah. Reason to get up in the morning.
Exactly.
There you go. I like that. Well, I was going to ask you what uniquely qualifies you for this position that you're running for, but I think you answered it. So we don't need to do that one. All right. Let's see. Okay. So, EMCID does a lot with economic development in the community, and they do a lot to try to help the small businesses in our community. And I've got an affinity for small business, being that I'm a small business owner myself. So I came up with this question. What ideas do you have regarding established small businesses in our community where economic development is concerned? Do you have any program ideas for small businesses, and how would you help to ensure that those small businesses survive, and not only that, but begin to thrive as well?
Well, it's an interesting time to have a small business, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Getting people in the door with the way that the last couple of years have gone. So I think the first thing that kind of comes to mind for me is really understanding what are the greatest challenges. Because I think I've not ever been a small business owner, and I know how much. So I don't really know exactly how much work goes into it because I've not ever done it, but I can certainly appreciate what I think goes into it. And so before I suggested, hey, this is what small business owners were looking for, I would want to sit down and listen to people that are living it, that's their livelihood, and say, okay, help me understand what the challenges are in the landscape of, COVID and just being a business owner right now and in this area.
Right.
Because we can all have different ideas on how to contribute to it, but I want to hear it straight from, small business owners that are willing to come forward and just say, hey, can we have coffee and donuts, and you guys tell me, like, what are the top 3 things that you're worried about when you go to work in the morning? Because I go to work and I'm worried about things, but it's a whole different landscape for a small business owner because they're the owner of the business, right? They have all different aspects of it.
Right.
And so if I see some commonality in, different types of businesses, I think that's where, as somebody on an EMCID board would have an opportunity to propose an idea that allows, hey, look, we're seeing a trend here. I'm kind of a data guy, just going back to, safety in my energy days. I want to look at what is the collective response, and do we see any trends that we can, start to apply? Hey, now we need creative solutions to solve that trend. And I think sometimes if we just slow down and listen to people in the right formats and the right scenarios, those answers will emerge. And then we just have to create an environment where creativity can make that solution come to the forefront.
That's the scientist in you, man.
It is.
Crunch the data. That's
well,
it.
It is.
And really, that's the truth, too. I mean,
and I don't want
if
to
you do that, you can't lose.
And I don't want to put the words in somebody's mouth. Like I've not been a business owner, so I'm forever a student, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to learn as much as I want to teach and understand. And so if I become a student and try to understand where you're coming from and then translate/teach to other folks, whether it be other board members or, whatever the case may be from a project standpoint, hey, look, this is where they're coming from. And then just try to convey that message. I think that's part of what I see this position being, a foundational piece for it.
Cool. I like it. Okay, so at present, EMCID doesn't have term limits, so you can run to be a board member, you do your term, and you can run again and again and again. Do you think that term limits should be placed on board members?
I think term limits are a good idea. To what extent, that's subjective to whoever, wants to weigh in on it. But for me personally, I think it's important to realize it's an opportunity, and, I'm not looking to, I want to do what I want to do as far as like my contribution in a short time frame. I don't want you, like, if you voted me in, I don't want you waiting 10 years for me to actually do something or anything like that. For me, I would want to get in, and I would want to work for the position that I was, elected to.
Okay.
And if I had a shorter time limit, okay, then that's what I'm functioning on. It's like, hey, the expectation is you deal with this for 2 years or 4 years or whatever. And I think by having that hard line, then you have an end date to what you basically came on and said you wanted to do to your constituency. So that's.
And it provides a fresh eyes approach as well.
Yeah, I think constant evaluation. A lot of times the change that happens within a community, within especially ours right now, we've seen so much growth from the time that I was a kid to now is just way different. And so I think it's good to just cycle through, go in, do your civil service, and then let somebody else come in and, continue on from there.
There you go. Yeah, and then that way, at least there's a rotation, and there's a constant flow of new ideas and new vision and new sources of information.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Now we're going to get a little deeper.
Okay.
So presently, there's a $5,000 cap on grants that are provided by EMCID.
Okay.
Do you think this cap should be increased, or should requests be considered on an individual basis?
It's a great question. For me, I think things should be considered on an individual basis. I think sometimes the caps are there so that we can, reach a certain amount of people and a certain amount of ideas and things like that. But I'm more of a case-by-case basis, because I think depending on what the impact for the community is, if I've got an idea over here that's, say, $10,000, but I think the impact is going to be community-wide for, majority of East Montgomery County because of whatever the idea is, I would rather want to do that than, go to another $5,000 idea that maybe just serves a smaller portion of it. And so I think we just have to maybe have an open mind with, hey, it's a really good idea. It impacts this many people, and it's only X $1,000 more, or whatever the case may be. Can we at least consider it? And so that's where I like the case-by-case basis.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, so regarding transparency, some of EMCID's business requires them to maintain a certain level of secrecy in order to thwart their competition. It's understandable. So what are your thoughts on that? And the question that I'm really getting to is, how are you going to be able to continue to let the public know what your role is as a board member and what EMCID's doing without violating their ability to maintain a certain level of secrecy in order to thwart competition? So it's kind of a tough part to be in,
Yeah, and there's a fine line there, because you don't obviously want to feel like you're concealing things from your constituency.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't want to give away, information that's going to, hinder what were even their good ideas, and if you really sought to understand first and talk to folks and it's like, oh, that's really good, we're going to use that, but then it gets given away and somebody else is able to take advantage of it, you're not serving the constituency in that way either.
Right.
And so I think it's I think about, okay, so I'm on a board. There's a group of us here. There needs to be a level of understanding between us of, okay, we need to be transparent to the point of not losing the competitive balance, but also, be as transparent as we can up to that point. And like, I want to go right up to that point. I don't want to be back off of it. There needs to be a mutual understanding, I feel, on the board of, okay. And so I would want to understand what that is from different perspective. Like, why can't we tell this part of the information? Because as somebody with fresh eyes, I don't understand it yet. So I want to seek to understand before I even suggest any kind of a change, because there's reasons for the way things have been done. And so you have to understand those reasons before you can go further.
Okay, great. So let's say I'm a voter guy. I'm at the polls. I haven't made a decision yet, and getting ready to push the button though. So what would you say to that individual to get them to sway your way?
I would say, if you're looking for somebody with maybe a different perspective, somebody that's from the community, and just want to give somebody a new opportunity, I really consider it I would consider it an honor to be able to do something like this, because there's so much support that has to happen for you to even be able to take advantage of an opportunity like this. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking to support somebody who feels like, hey, you have a job to do, you have a responsibility to every person that voted for you, somebody that, has integrity with the work that they do and cares about doing a good job, and you're on the fence, I really feel like I'm your guy. If you're looking for somebody that's going to go into it and is going to pay attention to the details and is going to ask some questions and try to understand where things are coming from and be creative about where things are going, then that's what I have to offer. So I don't know if that sways them to me or away from me, but
I think it'd work.
But I think that's what I want to do is really seek to understand first, and then have creative solutions. And a lot of that just comes from listening to good ideas from everybody, and then
Right.
making that one statement that just provokes maybe a little bit of thought. And it's like, oh, maybe we can consider that. So.
Yeah, I like it. That's great. And so how long have you lived in the community? You always been out here, born and raised?
Yes, sir. So technically I was born in Houston, but I've gone all the way from grade school. So from kindergarten all the way through high school, went through New Caney ISD.
Okay.
I went to college at A&M Kingsville. So, that was about 4.5 years for me.
Yeah.
And then worked on a couple of private ranches and things like that, and then ended up moving back home and getting certified to teach and kind of building the education career from there. And I started teaching in 2008, and it was and I've been in New Caney ISD ever since.
Cool. All right, so let's get to the really important stuff here. You're a guitar player, right?
I am.
What do you play?
So I actually just got a new guitar.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Ovation. I played an Ovation Celebrity for a number of years when I was in college.
Okay.
But I just got a Mitchell guitar that I'm really, really liking right now.
Cool.
But I also play a little bit of mandolin.
Really?
Yes. So when I was in college, I had a buddy of mine that was in, like, I'm a wildlife major. And so, you kind of hang out with your guys, and he was playing guitar, and I thought, I could play his songs, but nobody wants to listen to two guitar players. And so I picked up the mandolin. It's like, well, I'll play the guitar part on a mandolin. We'll have a little different sound. And so that made us kind of unique. And so we had fun with it. I learned to play his songs. We wrote some songs together and kind of played for a number of years in college, just at, graduation parties, friends parties,
sure,
open mic nights, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
you right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, yeah, I'm left-handed.
Well, I noticed all your guitars.
They're all
I was like, they're all facing the other way.
What is going on with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all backwards, but I tend to make them cry a little bit. So.
Well, and I've always learned, like, when you walk in and you see more than one guitar, that's kind of an indication of how long they've been playing. You can usually put, 2 or 3 years for every guitar that's there, and then there's it ramps up after a certain point. So you look like a lifelong musician to me.
I've played, actually, when I was in the 9th grade, which was God forever ago, I started playing right-handed because all my friends were right-handed.
Sure.
They all had right-handed guitars. I didn't have a guitar.
Right.
So started playing right-handed. Played for a really long time right-handed, but I knew I would never be good or great because I'm a left-handed guy. And so it never quite felt natural. So dropped the righty and started playing left-handed, just kind of retaught myself again.
Wow.
And this was maybe, 10 years ago, and I played left-handed ever since. And it's weird because when I pick up a right-handed guitar, I'm still as good right-handed as I ever have been left-handed.
How about that?
So the theory was wrong, So I guess I'm kind of equal left and right. I just don't practice right that much because I ditched all my right-handed guitars.
There you go.
So,
well, and I guess
It
what's
happens,
nice is everything you heard from a right-handed guitar sounds the same from a left-handed guitar when you hit it right.
And some stuff I can even do better still right-handed.
How about
I think it's because I was young. The old dog, new tricks thing.
Sure.
So maybe that comes into play.
I don't know if I'd have had the bravery to switch from right-handed to left-handed after knowing, X amount, but.
Oh, I had lofty dreams, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, well, if I'm okay right-handed, I got to be great left-handed. And, it'll feel natural and it'll be right. And nah.
No, not so much.
The only thing I really cleaned up was, I didn't use a pick playing right.
Sure.
I used fingerstyle.
Sure.
But I started left-handed playing virtually only with a pick, and I can't play fingerstyle. So
how about that?
It's kind of a mess,
Yeah.
But it works, and I still have fun. But it's a private thing for me. I don't really play in front of other people. I just come in here and jam on my own.
That's kind of how my stuff is. Like,
So.
Ever since college or after college, I didn't mind playing because most of the time we're just a bunch of college kids. We're having a good time, and it sounds good one way or another. And nobody ever heard or seen a mandolin, much less in South Texas.
Mandolins are cool.
And I had a lot of fun playing it. And so we'd play all of our songs, and then we'd play a few covers, and then we'd morph a couple of songs and just kind of keep people on their toes. It becomes a show at that point.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times it was our friends that we're playing for, so there wasn't like too much of a stage thing. And then after you do it for a while, it's not like I'm just going up to play the same songs that I've been playing for the last 3
Oh, yeah.
years. So,
Yeah.
but now it's more about, it's kind of a peaceful time. It's like I have the guitar hanging up right in a little chair in the bedroom, and I can just pick that sucker up and play a few songs and just kind of go somewhere else for a little while.
There you go.
And that's always been there, and that's the part I like the most, because when you have a good sounding instrument and you're playing along and you hit the right rhythm, or you're if you're running a lead or whatever it is,
Yep.
and you hit it clean,
Yep.
it can just take you all the way out of
That's
wherever
it.
you are.
Yeah, when you're on the one,
Yeah.
I have that every once in a while. It didn't happen too often for me, really.
Well, and I'm not that
But-
good of a guitar player, but every once in a while I play that song
And
that
it
I've
just
been
comes
playing.
out great.
It just like,
Yeah,
okay,
just
I can
clicks.
hear the strokes are matching, because
Yeah.
I'll play along to a song just to see how close I can get, and then I'll try to play it on my own. Sometimes I'll even try to sing, which is never a good idea for me, but it's part of just kind of getting into the experience. I
Sure.
think.
Yeah, I've noticed that when the singing starts, the guitar playing stops. I can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
something I'm trying to challenge myself.
That's
Maybe
why-
that's my flipping over to left-hand challenge.
There you
Is
go.
like, all right, I'm going to try to play as good a guitar when
Yeah.
I'm singing or when I'm not singing. And I'm not a singer, but it's just part of getting into the rhythm of it and just trying to relax and really listen. That's what I like about music just in general, is sometimes to be good at it, you just have to listen and know when you're missing it, and then go, okay, it's not that way. I'm willing to try something else, and
That's
just
it.
tweaking
Yeah.
just a little finger position here and there,
Yeah.
and then you're like, there it is, right there.
And it takes meditation.
It does.
It takes meditation, the listening part, and there's nothing better than that.
I used to
you
get
know.
picked on by my bandmate because I would never look up at the crowd. When we were playing on stage, I would
Mhm.
look down, but I was turning my ear to the guitar, and I was listening to what I was playing. You've got, amps and everything else like that, but something about there and feeling the vibration and everything. And so I always played with my head kind of in
Right.
a weird spot. And eventually I got where I felt like I was good enough. I'd look up every once in a while, or
Yeah.
he'd look at me and it's like, oh, there you are. So
Yeah.
we'd have fun with it.
That's cool. All right. So how can voters find out more about you?
Well, I'm in the process of putting together a little Facebook page so I can just kind of put out some information.
Okay.
I'm also looking to get in touch with people in the community that are part of different groups and things like that, and really
Okay.
want to try to see if I can go speak to a few groups and just introduce myself to folks. And,
Great.
So I'm looking for opportunities that, hey, if somebody wants to hear more or just wants to see me in person, kind of thing. We don't have a lot of time between now and the election, so
Right.
I'm going to try to do my day job, and then if I can find a group of people that would give me an opportunity to speak and answer their questions, then I'm going to try to do so.
Yeah. Great thing to do would be to go to the city council meetings,
Okay.
go to the ESD board meetings and the water board meetings and the PUD meetings and the MUD meetings, and that's where you're going to find your people who are involved, and you'll see the same people sitting in a lot of those meetings too. So that'd be a good start for you.
Well, that's what
You
I'll
know?
do. I've got
Yeah.
a few friends in the MUDs and PUDs from when I was doing energy management stuff, so
There you
I'll
go.
start with there and
Yeah.
see where I can go.
And I ran for the same position you're running for
Really?
back in 2020.
Okay.
And of course I didn't make it. And that's because COVID happened. A lot of other things happened. And I like to use those excuses, but it may have just been my own, fallacies, and I just didn't run a good enough campaign. But a great guy won. His name is Ron Willingham. Ron, what's going on? And he's been a real asset to EMCID, done really well. I'm glad that he won. But in my race, what I had decided early on was I was even going to go to all these small businesses and just walk in and say, hey, I'm Hank Batt. I'm running for EMCID, and what are your thoughts? What do you need? And so that may be another avenue for you to take.
Well, I appreciate the advice because when I went into this, it was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of take this leap of faith and go for it and kind of stretch my comfort zone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the people that I would be representing, and so trying to figure out the best ways to reach folks like that. So I'm going to take that advice and just try
Sure.
to go see a few folks and shake some hands.
Okay. Well, I hope you make it. EMCID's a great organization. They do good stuff in our community, and I know they're going to continue to do good stuff in the community. The board's incredible, and there's good people working there. So you're walking into something that's a major player in East Montgomery County. And
Well,
I just hope they're as proud to have us as we are to have those guys. So
I think so, and that, to me, like what you said, it makes it a huge opportunity. So, even just, putting your name in the hat to kind of see where it goes, and
It's a big deal.
like it's a big deal. And so I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate, voters that vote for me, but also the people that are willing to say, hey, Paul, you need to think about this and the representation and your position and stuff like that, because I'm still a student. I'm still trying to grow and learn, and that's not going to stop. And so as we progress forward, regardless of the results, I'm still going to be growing. I'm still going to be working in New Caney ISD. I'm still going to be doing what I can for the community. If it's not this opportunity, then it'll be another one, and look forward to whatever the future brings.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. That's Paul Batchelder. Look him up on Facebook. He's got a good Facebook page, and ask him some questions. Send him a message, and I'm sure he'll be willing to get with you. He's a candidate, and it's for position 5 for the EMCID board. That's going to be a May 7th election, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you want to meet Paul, I believe he's going to make it to the forum on April 19th at the EMC Senior Center. That's at Bull Salas Park. Doors open at 6, and we're going to party hard until 7 when we actually set up the forum, and we're going to grill these guys and ask them some questions and see where they live on a lot of these issues. So looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. I'm Hank Vatt. This is Hank's Think Tank, and we're out.